Hello, guys. My name is Miss Fleming. In case for most of you guys might not know me, I don't teach you. I am taking a class through the University of Northern Texas to become a librarian one day. And today I'm going to do a book talk with you guys. I thought it'd be a lot more fun if we look at mystery books. Those are one of my favorite genres, is mystery. And so what I gave you guys already is a little pamphlet, little booklet, and you are now invited to interview for my company. It's called Inference Inc. It's a detective agency, and so today I am inviting all of you guys to become junior sleuths and help me solve some mysteries and help us to use your deductive reasoning to think of what kind of books I'm looking at today. So we're going to go through 5 different books. Okay. So let's start with our first book. Our first book is actually called Horton Halfpot, and I gave you the book title and I gave you the book cover also, if you can see it. On the first page of your booklet, it has the name, so if you want to go back and look at it, this is the name. I gave you the shortened version. If you look closely at the book cover, it actually says The Fiendish Mystery of Smugwick Manor. That's also the title. It's also the other title, because this book has 3 different titles. The other title is The Loosening of Milady Luggertuck's Corset. When I was reading this book, a lot of the words were very confusing because they were weird, like luggertuck, what kind of word is that? But it was very interesting. So, on your little booklet, the first thing it says up there is, what do you think this book is about? So before I tell you what it's about, think about the title. Here's the book cover. What do you think it's about? You can jot down your ideas really quick. What do you think it's about? Just deductive reasoning, because you are now detective agents, or soon to be. All right, as you're writing, let's see some of you guys are done. And it could be wrong, because remember when we're doing inferring, you can totally be wrong because you're just guessing, right? I went ahead and when I read a book, I like to read the back of the book to see what the book's about. So here's what it says about Horton. Horton Halfpot is a mistreated kitchen boy who, through a series of haphazard events, becomes an unlucky hero. Horton Halfpot is a hardworking but often beaten, he's beaten by spoon, often in this book. He's a servant at Smugwick Manor, home to the wealthy Luggertucks, including the nasty and demanding Milady Luggertuck and her cruel son Luther. Comically ruthless and greedy, these 2 antagonists make the multitude of servants outright miserable. When a family treasure goes missing, a bumbling detective is brought in to find the culprit. Horton and his friends team up to solve the mystery. The ending is satisfying, and with Engelberger's many eclectic characters, his wild and witty storytelling, and a lighthearted but perplexing mystery involving a lump of diamond, a couple of wigs, and a bust of Napoleon, I think you're going to like this book. So what do you think this book is about now? Oh, anybody can answer. A robbery, definitely. This book, actually, Horton Halfpot is the hero. He's the protagonist. The antagonist is Milady and her evil son Luther. So this is a mystery, and he has to go through a lot of different mysteries. He's the kind one that you're sort of rooting for. He has to go through and he has to solve the mystery because, of course, as every hero, they blame him immediately. Who stole this? Oh, he did it. So he's got to go through this whole book and figure out what's happening, even though there's everyone against him, and the spoon beating is mean but sort of funny. I like this book. This book also has some really good pictures in it. It has the cast of characters. I'm a theater teacher right now, so I do love the cast of characters. Very funny pictures. It has a map because they do send Horton on different ways to go deliver this, deliver that. So let me just read you the first page of this funny book. Chapter 1, in which the corset is loosened. Do you know what a corset is? It's like an undergarment that ladies wear under their clothes to suck in all the fat, make it extra tight. It's called a corset, yeah. Right? So back then, Milady has a corset, and she's very strict and mean, and it's tightened every day. And one day, the corset is loosened, and she's not so mean. There are so many exciting things in this book. A stolen diamond, snooping stable boys, a famous detective, the disappearance of a valuable wig, love, pickle eclairs, unbridled evil, and the black deeds of these shiftless pirates. That doesn't really seem ashamed to begin with ladies' underwear. What kind of a book do you not read? with starts with ladies' underwear. It's corset. Loosen it up. All that meanness is now. She's happy, a little bit happier. So little things happen, things go missing finally, and there's a mystery involved. So Horrid and Half-Pot, very funny book, very funny characters, very fun pictures. Here's my first book. All right, let's move on to the second book. The second book, I thought it was a very scary title. It's called The Dollhouse Murders. The Dollhouse Murders, by Betty Wren Wright. It actually came out in the 80s, so I always check the copyright date when I read a book because I want to see, why are they doing that? Where's your cell phones at? Why can't they make a phone call? Oh, this was written in the 80s, but it's still a very, very good book. So what do you think this book is about? The Dollhouse Murders.
Like a doll killing people?
A doll killing people. We've all seen Chucky, right? Good guess. Well, let's read what I read in the back. So, 12-year-old Amy is staying a few weeks at her Aunt Claire's house. In the attic of the house they're staying in, there's a dollhouse, the exact replica of the house they are living in. There's a doll for each of the family members, but Amy is terrified. She hears noises coming from the dollhouse, and the dolls she was playing with are never where she left them. Dolls can't move by themselves, she tells herself. But every night when Amy goes to the attic to check on the dollhouse, it's filled with an eerie light and the dolls have moved again. Are the dolls trying to tell her something? Are their movements connected to the grisly murders of her great-grandparents? Do you think the dolls are coming alive and killing people?
Yeah.
It's a great guess. In this book, I'll tell you because it's so scary, the dolls don't kill anybody. This isn't about, it's actually about a murder that's already happened. So the mystery is to figure out who killed her great-grandparents. So can you imagine living in a house, and in the attic, the upstairs, you find the exact same house, only a smaller version of it, and everybody in the house has their own figure with their own clothes. Like, oh, there's my great-grandmother doll, and here's my Aunt Claire doll. Have you seen this movie?
Yeah.
The great-grandparents are dead. So this book is about Amy. She does have a special needs sister, so she's sort of running away from her sister duty to live with her aunt for a while. But her sister does make it to the house for a little bit, and they do solve the mystery, but it is called the Dollhouse Mystery. You gotta figure out who did it, why, what's the plot, what's the reasoning, the motive. Very interesting book. Is there a movie about this? There might be. You should look into it because it's a very famous book. And it did win the Texas Bluebonnet Award. You guys know about the Texas Bluebonnet Awards. You guys vote for them every year? Okay, my third book is called Double Helix. And I'll give you a hint. It's a science book. Alright? So what do you think this book could be about? Well, just know the title and looking at the book cover, Double Helix. I had a pretty good guess when I saw this book. I'm like, I bet it's about this. What do you guys think it is before I read the summary of the book?
I guess about science stuff.
I told you that. Does anyone know what a double helix is? Because most of you guys are in 6th grade, that might be a older person. Double helix is about DNA. You know what your DNA is?
Mm-hmm.
Genetics, how the DNA makes up how you look and what you do, and your different genetics make you do different things. Look a certain way, your parents' genetics all come together to form you in a special way. Your DNA. Fun. So double helix, it is a mystery. Instead of going to college, 18-year-old Eli Samuels gets a job right out of high school working for the prestigious Nobel Prize-winning scientist Dr. Quincy Wyatt. Although it seems like a dream job with a great salary, Eli's father is against it from the beginning, but won't tell Eli why. Eli knows that there's a connection between his parents and Dr. Wyatt, something too painful to discuss, but might be about his mother's life-threatening disease. As Eli works at the lab and spends time with Dr. Wyatt, he begins to uncover some disconcerting facts about himself. Why is he so tall, so smart, so athletic. Why is he so perfect? Ah. So this book follows Eli in his, I guess, quest for knowledge. It is a mystery. He's got to figure out what's going on, but he's finding out a lot of things about himself. It's actually pretty good. He has a girlfriend, and they sort of solve this together. He had to figure out why his dad didn't want him to go in the first place. One of the things I liked on the first page of the book, because you know you had to read the back, what's it about? There's a warning, the first page. The warning, it's a letter to Eli. It's clear to me now that somehow you've got to know Quincy Wyatt, and that your new job is with Wyatt Transgenetics. That's the company. I don't want to know the details of how that happened. I don't care. I simply ask you not to take the job. In fact, I ask you not to let this man be a part of your life in any way. I can't tell you why, Eli, but I'm begging you to do what I ask, to do it immediately and without question. Love, Dad. Would you be able to turn down a really good job for no reason other than your dad says no? I can't tell you why, but it's bad. Don't do it. Stop immediately. It would be hard, right? I don't know if I'd be able to do it, but in this book, he's got to figure out why is his dad so against it? What is up with him and his connection to Dr. Quincy Wyatt, this Nobel Prize winning scientist. Genetics, think about that. It's also a very good book. All right, our fourth book today is called Fake ID. Fake ID. So what do you think this book is about, just by knowing that the title of the book is called Fake ID? Do you know what a fake ID is? Well, what do you think this book's about?
Person with a fake ID.
A person with fake ID, definitely.
Faking what she is.
A person faking who she is. So let's read about fake ID, which I was a lot better than I thought it was. I thought it would be not as good as it was. This is also part of the Hunted series, so I think this might be one of the first ones of the series. So, Fake ID follows the story of her name, well, in this book, her name was Chastity Pureheart. And it tells you in the book how she got that crazy name, Chastity Pureheart. So Chastity Pureheart and her mother have been on the run since Chas was a baby, assuming different identities in every town. She doesn't know why they're running, who her father is, or even her real name. On the night of her 16th birthday, Chas's mother disappears. Police find her abandoned car, blood matching her DNA, and a purse full of 6 fake ID cards. Chas doesn't believe her mother is dead, only that she had to run again, this time to protect her daughter. If Chastity doesn't find her mother in 6 days, she'll be put in foster care. That is, if she hasn't been murdered first. So fake ID, well, you guys probably be pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
Fake ID. So Chastity, it tells her in the book how she gets her name, which is pretty funny. They actually go, I won't tell you how they get her name because it's sort of funny. I'll make you guys read that part. But I did want to read, in this book, let's see, in Quincy, Illinois, this is Chastity speaking. In Quincy, Illinois, I was Linda Sue Greer. In Deer Park, Washington, I was Rose Ford. In Columbus, Ohio, I was Renice Preminger. There were a lot more names, one as bad as the next. I can't even remember them all. All I can say is that wherever I go, I always end up getting stuck with these old-fashioned doofus hick names. Mom says it's a jinx, but I don't believe in jinxes. Why all the names? See, Mom and I have been on the run for as long as I can remember. From what? I don't know. It's the one thing Mom would never talk to me about. Sex? Sure. Drugs? No problem. Boys? Easy. But not the reason why we're running. That subject was off limits. That and my father. I don't know who he was or even what his name was. But now everything's gone bad and I don't know one thing. I only know one thing. I have 6 days. 6 days to figure out who I really am. That's in chapter 2, but that's a very good hook for me. Can you imagine growing up and not knowing what your name is, and every couple years you get a new one? It seemed very interesting. This is definitely a book I would pick up. And it's actually, it looks like it's sort of thick because it's hardcover, but it was very easy to read. I got through this and I'm a fast reader, but the Word Half Pot book was smaller if you look at the size. This one was harder to read than this one was. So don't let the size get you, because it actually was a very good mystery. Why would you be running your whole life? Why won't your mom tell you who your dad was? Or what his name was? What is your name? She's 16, has no clue what her real name was. All right, so our last book today is the biggest one. I picked this up because the back of the book had, instead of what the book was about, it actually is a review by Stephen King, the author. Do you guys know who Stephen King is? He wrote all those really scary books, like It with the Clown and all those. Yeah, right? So he loves this book. He's great reviews in this book, so I had to read it because if Stephen King likes it, hey, it should be pretty good. This one is called Down the Rabbit Hole. What do you think this book's about? Down the Rabbit Hole.
There's a rabbit stuck somewhere.
Rabbit stuck, that's pretty obvious. Because of the word and rabbit's in the title. Rabbit Down the Hole. Does that ring a bell? Anyone think of a book? Alice in Wonderland, definitely. That's where that wasn't the Matrix. You are right. You were right. So this book actually is the first book in the series. They're Echo Falls mysteries. Echo Falls is the name of this little small town. I'm pretty sure it's made up. I don't think there really is a town called Echo Falls. But Echo Falls, this is the mystery. This first book is about Ingrid, and she also hates her name. Ingrid's a very old-fashioned name, she thinks, but that's her name. So Ingrid is at the wrong place at the wrong time, or at least her shoes are. Getting them back means getting involved in a murder mystery rivaling that of her idol Sherlock Holmes. But Ingrid already has a lot on her plate with club soccer, school, and getting the lead role in Alice's Adventure in Wonderland. But much like her favorite director, but a lot happens during this book, and her favorite director has an accident while on stage. But is it an accident? We gotta figure that out. The police chief is on Ingrid's tail, grilling her about everything from bike helmet law to the color of her cleats. The small town of Echo Falls has turned into a nightmare, and Ingrid is determined to wake up. So Down the Rabbit Hole isn't about a rabbit. It is. She does have a part in Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, so we do have a reference to that book. She is an actress. She does play soccer. So, like all these mystery books, there has been a murder. She has to figure out who did it because her shoes are in the wrong place at the wrong time. So when she goes back to get her cleats, her soccer cleats, she witnesses something, but she's not sure what. So this whole book, you have to figure out what's going on. Huh? Are you sure? So she does like Sherlock Holmes, so there is a lot of, it's not very, how do you say it? Obvious. It's not obvious what's going on. You have to really think about this. So like Sherlock Holmes, you have to think about all of his mysteries are very intelligent books. You have to really think he's a very intelligent person, very deductive reasoning the whole thing, and it's all roundabout. But at the very end, you're like, oh yeah, and it all clicks into place. This is very similar. So it's a kid's book. You can definitely read it. It looks a little sadder than the other ones, but it's a great mystery and it doesn't bore you. It keeps you thinking. So, those are my 5 books I've talked to you guys about. The last page of the little booklet asks you, what book would you like to check out? And I'm not sure if they're here or not, but if you would like to check out one of these books, I want you guys to keep your little booklet so that you can look at it later and you can see the titles of the books and who wrote them so you can look them up. If they're not in this library, I got all the 2 in public library. And we do have an interlibrary loan. So if you think of a book that you would like to read, ask Ms. Munoz and she'll be definitely able to find the book for you. So, who wants to tell me? Are any of these books something that you would like to read maybe one day? Double Helix in the House, the Dollhouse Murders?
I would read all of them.
You would read all of them? If you're like me, mystery, we had to read all these books as one of our assignments, but I truly enjoyed all these books, and they were, because you have to figure out what's going on, You have to get to the end of it. And I'm up at night and I should be in bed and I have school the next day. Oh, goodness, what's going on? What's going on? So they have to know who did it. Why would they do that? What's going on? I'm just curious all the time. So definitely these two for you. And this is in the 80s and it's still very good. Even though it's big and fat, who wants to read Down the Rabbit Hole? It was really good. And this is the first book, so if you like the first book in the series, same thing with the fake ID. Yeah, this might be one of my favorites, which I didn't think it was going to be one of my favorites, but it was, because Shirley is hunted, and the whole time she's got to figure out what is going on. Where's her mother? I mean, her 16th birthday, her mom just disappears. What's going on? So there's a lot of questions in all these books, and you guys are junior sleuths. You'll have no problem figuring out what's going on and who done it. Thank you so much for staying for after school and for listening to my book talk, and I hope you really enjoyed them, and I hope if you read them, let me know and tell me what you think about them. If Ms. Munoz, if I don't see me, tell her and she'll tell me, because I really do love reading and I wish you guys all read. Because the more you read, the faster you read, and the faster you read, the better you are in every subject. Cool? All right, thanks guys.